YouTube, what's going on with y'all, man? It's your boy Trey Mace. We back at it again with another one on Famous Mason Sports. Please make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff for the algorithm, man. We gonna jump right into this video. What a great game that was. The national championship between Ohio State and Notre Dame, and a pretty good college football season, if you ask me. The 12-team playoff was definitely a success. I can't wait to see what 12 teams make it next year. But man, that was a great national championship game. It looked like it was going to be a snooze fest at first. But Notre Dame, they bounced back, they battled back, and they gave Ohio State a run for their money for sure. So we got to give credit to them for that. This was the first year, actually the second year, that no SEC team made it to the national championship. And I'm not a SEC hater, but we need parity in the sport. And that's exactly what this 12-team playoff has done, is given a lot of other opportunities to schools that normally wouldn't have been able to compete for a national championship to compete. And that's what we want, man. We want to see a lot of schools get a chance to bring that natty home. And so with this 12-team playoff, I was very happy with the outcome of it. And I think that Ohio State was the best team down the stretch. They weren't the best team all year, but they were the best team down the stretch, and they ended up pulling it out. That was a great game, hard-fought game. And I believe both teams battled adversity throughout the year. Ohio State losing to Michigan and to Oregon. The Oregon loss, they could have won that game, so I'm not going to give them too much slack for that. But that Michigan loss was ugly, especially because Michigan was missing some key players. Also, Michigan's not very good this year. They really couldn't throw the ball at all this year. They were just a running football team. But we got to give them credit. They were a great running football team. But Ohio State still should have won that game, if you ask me. And then Notre Dame, they lost to Northern Illinois. A terrible loss, absolutely ugly, the worst loss in their program's history. So for them to bounce back, win out on their schedule, and beat a few teams on the way to the national championship game was truly incredible. I got to give Marcus Freeman his credit when it comes to that. He kept his boys on course, and Notre Dame's defense stayed playing hard. Their offense was but Riley Leonard, he made plays when he had to, so we got to give them credit there. Notre Dame, they beat Indiana, Georgia, and Penn State to get to the national championship. Those are some pretty good teams, if you ask me. So I got to give credit where it's due. Marcus Freeman did a hell of a job this year coaching them boys up, and they played hard, man. Even in the national championship, they never gave up. They kept fighting. And that Notre Dame team was tough this year for sure. And Ohio State, they beat Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas to advance to the national championship. And those, I feel like, are even better teams than the team Notre Dame beat to get to the national championship. So they both played some great teams on the way to the national championship. They both deserve the right to play in the national championship. And Ohio State ended up pulling it out 34-23. It was a great game for sure. Ohio State, they were favorites in the game. They had a better team overall, and they beat better teams on their way to the national championship. Notre Dame, they had an impressive first drive. Riley Leonard pretty much ran the ball down their throat and made the score 7-0. Then Ohio State scored right back with Jeremiah Smith on a swing pass, and he made the score 7-7. Then Quinshon Judkins scores, makes it 14-7. Then he scores again on a 6-yard TD pass from Will Howard, and the score is 21-7. Then Judkins breaks off a 70-yard run, and then he punches it in again. So now this is his third touchdown of the game, and the score is 28-7. But Notre Dame, they didn't give up. Riley Leonard was kind of pedestrian in the first half, but he came back. He hit Greathouse for a 34-yard TD, which cut the lead to 28-13, I believe. Then he hit Greathouse again for a 30-yard TD, and that cut the lead to 31-23. And they had a chance to get a stop against Ohio State at the end there to maybe get the ball back and drive down the field. But Jeremiah Smith wasn't having it. He beats his defender on a go route down the sideline, and the rest is history. Jeremiah Smith is nice as fuck, man. As a freshman, for him to be able to do what he's been doing is absolutely incredible. Ohio State, they have so many receivers over there, 5 stars, great receivers all up and down the roster. For him to step in as a freshman, pretty much be the number one option over all of them, man, it's incredible, man. I got to give shouts out to Jeremiah Smith. He's a dog for sure. And Riley Leonard, he played well in the second half. I got to give him credit. I say he was a terrible thrower of the football, but he made some big throws down the stretch where I was like, wow, that's a hell of a throw. And they converted on all their 2-point conversions. They fought back for sure. They made the game interesting. I thought it was over, to be honest. I'm sure everybody else did. But they fought back, man, and they fought back hard. They did a great job. Marcus Freeman, I got to give you credit for sure. You guys did your thing. But Ohio State ended up pulling it out 34-23. I mean, shouldn't have kicked the field goal. They should have went for the touchdown. They were down 2 possessions already, and the field goal was still going to make it a 2-possession game, but they decide to kick anyway, and Jeter misses a chip shot. Like, I can't believe a college football kicker misses that. Kickers have seemed to have gotten worse over the years, and he really missed an easy field goal that could have put his team in position to win. I know that sucks on his part, but Marcus Freeman, I'm sure he will want to have that back. Like, I'm sure of it. But Notre Dame, they played great, man. They fought back, which was very impressive. Something about this national championship game just seemed off. It wasn't hyped up at all. I know Ohio State were heavy favorites, but the game just had zero hype to it, man. It was like it wasn't even the national championship. The Super Bowl gets so much hype. Other national championship games before this one get a lot of hype, a lot of media attention. This just wasn't one of those games, unfortunately. I feel like it slipped under the radar. Unless you're a real college football fan and love the sport, this game really flew under the radar. Ohio State, that loss to Michigan really fueled this team and turned this season around for them. After they lost to Michigan, they went on an unbelievable run, beating the best teams in the playoff to get to the national championship. That's why I picked them to win the national championship. They had the most talent. They spent $20 million on this roster and NIL money, and it was all worth it. Worth every single penny. The players they brought in from other programs, like a Caleb Downs, just really turned this team around, man, and made them special. Quishon Judkins from Ole Miss, these guys played a huge role on this team, and they propelled this team to a national championship. Ryan Day was under a lot of pressure. A lot of people wanted him gone, especially after losing to Michigan like that. But, man, he really showed up and showed why he deserves to be Ohio State's coach for years to come. He did a hell of a job. Chip Kelly was a hell of an offensive coordinator all year. And them boys really, the scheme was just incredible. They were a great team, great defense led by Jack Sawyer. And that loss to Michigan, I feel like, really put fuel in their tank. And they went on to beat some great teams. When you beat Tennessee, when you beat Oregon, and you beat Texas, those are the best teams in the bracket, if you ask me. That Texas game was hard fought, and they beat the shit out of Tennessee, and they beat the shit out of Oregon. So for them to do that is incredible. You got to give credit where it's due, man. Like, that's truly a hard task to do, and they found the way to get it done. They came in the 8th seed, and they wouldn't have even made the playoff if it wasn't a 12-team playoff. So they came in the 8th seed, and they ran the table. Ryan Day, he did what he had to do. and he solidified himself as Ohio State's head coach for years to come. Now, if they keep losing to Michigan, we're going to have a different story. But he truly solidified himself as an Ohio State legend. He got himself a national championship. He finally won the big game. We got to give credit where it's due. He's a good coach. I know people wanted him out. Ohio State fans wanted him out. But now look, man, you guys are finna run this guy out of town. And he ended up putting the best roster together in college football. And they won the whole thing. People say they spent $20 million on the roster. Why didn't your team spend $20 million on the roster? Maybe they could have won a national championship. So I don't fault them for that at all. I fault them for wanting it bad enough to go get premier players from other programs and to dominate, man. And that's what they did. They dominated this entire playoff. Yeah, they had some close games, but when it mattered the most, they went out and they did what they had to do. So I got to give credit to Ryan Day. He's truly a good coach. Will Howard played great. He was 17 of 21, 231 passing yards. That's a pretty good game if you ask me, with a 99.1 QBR. Like I said, Riley Leonard had a good second half, but it's all 4 quarters, man. You got to play all 4 quarters in football. It's no one half and you go home. So this was a great national championship, man. I cannot deny it. Ohio State, congratulations. You guys did what you had to do. This 12-team playoff is absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see more of it. It was great. The 12-team playoff was amazing, truly. I was the biggest critic of it. I didn't think we needed a 12-team playoff. I thought 4 teams was just fine. But honestly, this 12-team playoff was the best thing that could have happened to college football. All these teams have a chance to win a national championship, and that's what you want. You don't want just 4 teams having a chance to win. That just doesn't seem fair, doesn't seem right. And without this 12-team playoff, Ohio State or Notre Dame wouldn't have made it to the championship game. Neither one of those teams would have made it. And they ended up being the final 2 teams standing, and Ohio State ended up winning it all. Without this 12-team playoff, that wouldn't have been possible. So I want to give a shout out to the committee. You guys did your thing with that one, man. The 12-team playoff was a great addition to the game, and I'm looking forward to more 12-team playoffs coming up, and I'm looking forward to who wins the national championship next year. It's a lot of parity in college football. That's what we've been missing for the past 15, 20 years. It's been no parity. It's been the same teams over and over and over. But this is the second year that an SEC team has not made the national championship or won the national championship. And so I got to give credit where it's due. That's great. I mean, I'm not an SEC hater, but got to give other teams and other chances and other programs an opportunity to compete and win it all. So shouts out to Ohio State. They got it done. They were the best team. They weren't the best team all year, but when it mattered, they were. And they went on an incredible run to win the national championship. So my hat's off to them. Let me know what you guys think about it. Did you guys like the national championship? Do you guys like the 12-team format? And do you think Ryan Day is going to be Ohio State's head coach for a long time? And do you think Notre Dame got a great head coach in Marcus Freeman? Please let me know down in the comments. It's your boy Trey Mace with Famous Mason Sports. And we out, man. Peace.